got the sun on my face, sleeping rough off the road. I'll tell you all about it when I get home. Come around to meet you the long way around.
Beginning in December 2006, African Tales has been telling stories of ways to curb the overpopulation and suffering of dogs on the Cape Township streets, particularly Dunoon and Joe Slovo townships. African Tales is run entirely by volunteers who are bound by their love for the uniquely African dog known as Canis africanus, frequently seen in rural areas and on the streets of South Africa's informal settlements. African Tales' mission is to reduce the number of stray and neglected dogs, which adds fuel to the cycle of abuse, suffering, and neglect. With this in mind, the key focus areas are sterilization, rescue and rehoming, and feeding.
I think we all had this affinity to not just dogs, to township dogs and to dogs that were neglected, and I think we all never knew really how to channel it. And we saw this opportunity, and through many conversations of seeing there was a gap in the market, as you could call it, where there was just not enough sterilizations being done, and there will never be enough, unfortunately, in South Africa and Cape Town, and I think sterilization will always remain our focus.
Owners of dogs often think they need to let their dog have a litter just so they know what it's like, whether it's a male or female. But it's actually, first of all, it's actually healthier for the dog to sterilize it before, if it's female, before she goes on heat. If it's a male, you can do it 5-6 months. But it's important and it is healthier for the dog. But aside from that, one unsterilized female dog and her offspring can give rise to 67,000 puppies in 6 years on average.
If people care about the animals, you can see that they're in good condition, then we do from our side whatever we can to assist them. So even with food, if they have a little bit of a shortage because it's tough times, then we try to help where we can, but especially with education and sterilization. And for them to contact us, if they do that, then we usually help them as soon as possible, because it's a battle to convince people to sterilize their animals. They believe they must have one litter first, or the male must make one litter first, and it's not healthy for the animals. Are you the owner of the dogs? Yes. We are sterilizing in the area. Okay. And we wanted to know if you want to sterilize your dogs. Okay. So let me just get the form and we can fill it out, and then we can take him with. Okay. Yeah. What's his name?
Rolo.
Rolo?
Yeah.
And your surname? Come, boy. Come, we're just going to help you. Come. Careful the leg. Yeah, we're going to take them to Animal Rescue Organization in Ottery, and they will be doing the sterilizations for us. And then on Thursday morning, they have to sleep over the night after they've been sterilized. And Thursday morning, we will pick them up and bring them back to their owners again.
Females, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 males, and one is the crypt orchid, so it's going to be quite busy.
The sterilizations are carried out free of charge, and the animals are all returned the following day to their owners. To date, African Tales has organized and paid for over 1,200 rescue dogs to be sterilized, resulting in a healthier, more sustainable population.
Sister. Okay, there's some plaster around her to keep the wound nice. You can only take it the plaster off Saturday. But you can give her some nice food and water now. I think she's hungry. Okay, thank you very much. Enjoy your day.
We don't have any official government funding. It's all purely related to donors, and we rely on donors. What has got us through is our calendar. Every single year we have it's our largest fundraiser with Joe's Grain Shoots, and that is always fully sponsored. And this year it was sponsored by Pedigree, as it was last year, and that allows us for every calendar sold to be able to sterilize a dog.
There you go. Yeah, these are beautiful. Yeah.
The first calendar that we shot, there were actually 2 photographers, and we shot in his studio, and one was daylight and one was with strobe. And then after the first calendar, they asked me again, Yael and Jana, and basically I've been doing it since then. This is the 4th one. Look, I love animals, so it's a nice project for me to be involved in because it's my way of giving back. I love shooting the dogs. They're a lot more accommodating than models, and they listen, and they don't have these huge egos, and so they're great. You know, it's really fun. I mean, it's really actually quite easy.
The African Tails volunteers are on 24-hour call to rescue animals and litters who are in need of new homes. The African Tails volunteer Sonia is on her way to a farm in Grabo outside Cape Town to fetch a litter of puppies. These puppies will go to foster homes until they find their forever homes. Second-hand dogs make first-class pets. Today, African Tails have set up a stand at the market with some of the fostered puppies that are ready to be adopted.
We wanted a family pet, and instead of getting one from a friend or whatever, there's a lot of pups in need that need homes, that need to be adopted, so we decided to go the adoption route.
Okay, which puppy do you want? A black doggy? You want to do the black doggy? Should we find one? Okay, let's go. Those pups are just... Oh. Do you like him? Do you want to take him home? Yeah.
Amara bonding with Bubbles has been fantastic. It's such a gorgeous thing to watch the two of them together. And I know some people might frown, but I mean, Bubbles sleeps on Amara's bed, sort of with her head on her leg or on her back or something, and it's just, yeah, it's lovely. And I think for children to develop a relationship with animals, I think it's quite important. Even though she's so young, she's only 3.
Me and my mum looked on the computer for all these different types of puppies and stuff, and then we found these 2 little scrumptious.
Yeah.
And we're only going to take one, eh?
Yeah, and then we said we have to take 2 because they're sisters, and we can't just take one and then separate them because that just wouldn't be fair. So that's why we took 2.
African Tails relies on donations of food and basic necessities. But more importantly, the assistance from volunteers and fosters is what makes a difference in the lives of these animals.
We'd been fostering dogs for African Tails. We'd done about 6 already, and that's where dogs come to us in need of a temporary home whilst they find their happy ever after ending. And we'd done about 6, and then as always happens, there was the phone call sort of late one evening that there was an absolute emergency and could we please help out. And so Poppy and her sister Mandy arrived on our doorstep. And so we looked after them, fed them, walked them, started socialising them with our 2 own dogs, and took them off to 2 adoption days organised by African Tails. And at the second one, both of them found their humans. Mandy went on the Saturday, and on the Sunday we took little Poppy off to meet her new humans. And we thought that was it, we'd have another break and then foster some more. And on Wednesday we got the phone call from her new humans that unfortunately Poppy had something like separation anxiety and was howling the flat down. And so Poppy came back. And it's a fact of life that dogs choose you, you don't choose your dogs. And Poppy had already decided she knew where she was going to be.
Recently, African Tails received the donation of a vehicle from an anonymous donor. This enables African Tails to effectively carry out successful rescues and sterilization drives.
Thank you very, very much. Well, African Tails is overwhelmed. We can't believe our luck that somebody out there actually heard our pleas and answered them, and that we now have this vehicle to further our work in saving and rescuing and sterilizing the dogs out there that desperately need our help.
African Tails is about showing how wonderful township dogs can be. We don't want to kind of show people the sad, sorry, scary, sick animals. Although that is a reality, it doesn't generate the kind of goodwill and support that the positive stories can. And while we deal with the realities, we also want to show how fantastic rescue dogs can be if they are just given a chance. And that's where the calendar really comes in. We're showing dogs that have got homes through African Tails because they're healthy, they're happy, they've got love, they're in a home. And we're showing how if you just give these dogs a chance, they're just as wonderful and as beautiful and as sophisticated and as fantastic as any thoroughbred dog could be, if not more so.
It's that experience of having that soulmate and that dog look into your eyes and that personality. I mean, they're incredible souls, and they're not like any other dogs. You know, they've experienced things that any breeder's dogs would never have experienced, and they should never have experienced that. But it does make them stronger characters, and they really seems like they know what they've been through.
Got the sun on my face, sleeping rough off the road. I'll tell you all about it when I get home. Coming round to meet you the long way around.
Going home. And when we phoned the owner, she said, no, please, she doesn't want them back.
Okay.
We basically took them to sterilize them. And then she said, please don't bring them back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.